The upcoming Handmade Contemporary Fair is taking place from the 1st to the 3rd of September in Johannesburg. Over 100 craft workers will display their work and design. The fair itself is fully woman-run and celebrates the creativity and entrepreneurship of African women while showcasing the finest handmade creation from across the continent.
The Handmade Contemporary Fair at 2023 is its 17th edition of the fair. And it's at Melrose Arch this year, 1st to 3rd of September. And it's a spectacle of jewelry, clothing, homeware, exquisite chocolates, beautiful fermented food, wonderful restaurants, and just a general good time to enjoy with your friends and to shop, of course.
And what's the theme this year?
This year the theme is where handmade African luxury meets the future. And we're really looking at the ways in which technology is not opposed to being handmade, but can actually enhance the whole process of handmade. So we have a specific pod that we've curated where you can see the goods, but actually shop online. And that's a really good example of where the future technology is actually enabling the handmade process.
The fair advocates for the importance of protecting handmade industry and their abilities to preserve culture, create wealth for communities while sourcing and making their own goods.
The fair has about 100 to 120 entrepreneurs, and for many of them in our research, they make up to 60 to 70% of the annual turnover just from the fair. So that's the one side of supporting entrepreneurs, but also many entrepreneurs who actually are featured in this space right now, like Hamithop, and of course all launched, their first retail experience was at the fair. So it's a great opportunity for revenue, but also to make a name for yourself. With reference to women entrepreneurs, at least 95% of our entrepreneurs are women. And that's because I think women have a very particular sensibility about craft and the importance of craft, and then also the importance of employing other women and seeing their business benefiting a broader community.
One of the vendors of this year's fair is fiber textile artist Lerato Motal from Orlando West in Soweto. She obtained a fine arts and teaching diploma from the Johannesburg Art Foundation. Her work has been commissioned throughout the country. Her long-term project has been shown on documentaries in Beijing.
I've been an artist since '94, so I majored in painting. And around 2005, I enrolled for one of these cities, more at, what was this place? Bus Factory. And so they did handmade felt. It was more on the business side of being an artist, how to manage your finances, marketing and everything. So they just had a short course in terms of handmade felt and also embroidery. But it's one skill that I have learned when I was still in primary. So would make smallanyana doilikis that you make the edges using embroidery. And then it came back to say, okay, that's one subject that I've enjoyed when I was in school. Because of my dyslexia, everything that I had to do, it was only maths and the embroidery. And we used to call it needlework around that age. So that was the best subject that I've enjoyed. So in 2005, when it came back, I said, okay, I can fuse this into painting. And that's when I started. Because with my first solo exhibition, it was both medias that I fused. And the second one, which it was last year, the second solo show, it was basically embroidery only. When I enrolled into an art school, I said, because I cannot read and write, I will have to use my voice to speak. And then I think first day of my history of art, I told my lecturer to say, you know what, I don't know how to read, I don't know how to write, but it will mean that I will use my voice, which is orally. Anything that has to do with written work, it has to be oral with me. And since then, I think I found a space of saying anything that I do, it has to be visual perception more than written words or speaking, writing or reading. It has to be also visual all the way. And also it will help me not just to overcome the place that I was in when I was in school, because I was laughed at. I was called names. Sorry. I remember one time my granddad came back to say, your teacher said we're now it's khobala. And that on its own made me feel. And there was a time that when I was in school, I felt, there's nothing that I can do. But through art, it helped me to heal. And also it helped me to, speak boldly.
In her exhibition, we will behold several colorful patterns showing mighty and strong women who have been in her life and standing by her side. The women portrayed in the needlepoint alone illustrate a form of significance that one can express as poetry, rhymes, or song.
Mainly, it's more of people around me and different cultures that still use embroidery as a tool, like people from Limpopo, they still do their embroidery work, and mine it's more contemporary, because with theirs it's a traditional way. And then when you look at people from Mexico, they still stitch using cross stitch, but it's so you feel that you'd want to touch it. I think that's most thing that what I'm doing. It's like people, when they look at my work, they would want to reach out and touch it because it gives different textures. It gives a 3D in some spaces, and also in terms of fashion. I look at people who use embroidery as a tool in terms of making their own garments to reflect a new design on them. So mainly it's those people.
Leanne is the visionary behind Lee Avenue, a design house of crafted jewellery, also showcasing at the Handcraft Contemporary Fair this year. She began jewellery design at an early age, and her designs are inspired by her travels.
What inspires my designs is everything that can be touched and felt. I'm obsessed with tactility and the texture of materials, the diversity of color and different stones and gems. I'm inspired by my travels, mostly to India and Southeast Asia. And in terms of how I got into jewelry design, I would trawl through dusty floors and pick out trinkets and treasures, and I started making my own jewelry from when I was a young teenager.
Primarily an online store, over the past few years her product has witnessed a growth and interest in both local and international consumers.
The Handmade Contemporary Fair is the most beautiful forum for South African artisans. I participated last year and it was a wonderful experience. So I'm going to be launching a new range that's not on the Lee Avenue website yet. It's called Untamed. I've also got 2 other big ranges of my handcrafted beaded necklaces, earrings and bracelets, and I'm really excited about the display of these pieces. I put a lot of time and love and care into the setup of my stall.
The Handmade Contemporary Fair will be celebrating the creativity of women entrepreneurship and showcasing the finest handmade creations from all over the continent. For Morning Live, I am Tapelo Moela.